Life-changing response. Black waiter exposes hidden truth to Chinese billionaire in Incredible 5. The diner hummed with the sound of clinking plates and chatter, as Malik wiped a bead of sweat from his brow. The vibrant walls, adorned with pictures of smiling families, housed the dreams and struggles of its patrons. For Malik, each shift was a balancing act between serving hearty meals and carrying the weight of his family's expectations. He was 28, a black waiter in Chicago, working tirelessly to support his single mother and younger siblings. Any hope he dared to entertain of becoming a chef felt crushed by rising rent and a relentless need to keep food on the table. On that ordinary Tuesday, an extraordinary figure walked in. Mr. Lee, the billionaire. With his tailored suit gleaming under the diner's soft lights, he was a stark contrast to the well-worn jeans and apron draped on Malik's frame. As whispers rippled through the crowd, Malik felt a surge of adrenaline mixed with anxiety. What could a man like Mr. Lee possibly understand about the struggles within these four walls? Still, duty called. Malik approached the table, voice steady but heart racing. "What can I get for you today?" The words tread carefully past his lips, born from hours spent serving the people he loved. Mr. Lee's eyes scanned the menu, but then, surprising Malik, he looked up. "Why do you work here?" Mr. Lee asked, a hint of curiosity in his voice. Malik paused, caught off guard. "To support my family," he replied, his chest tightening. "My mom is sick, and my siblings they need me." He could see the flicker of confusion crossing Mr. Lee's face. Around them, the diner's energy shifted as patrons began to listen. Malik continued, "You know, it's hard. Every paycheck feels like it's not enough. You think you make it, but the bills just keep coming. And dreams? They get put on hold." His voice trembled but held steel. Mr. Lee's brow furrowed, his privileged world colliding with Malik's reality. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Malik's heart raced as the words hung heavy in the air. "Look," he said, determination rising, "I love cooking. I dream of a kitchen filled with flavors and joy. But at the end of the day, my family comes first. I can't just chase a dream when reality is waiting for me to fulfill my duties." As he spoke, the diner became a collective. Voices chimed in stories of late payments and sacrifices, camaraderie born of shared pain. The energy swelled as Malik's humility contrasted sharply with Mr. Lee's unease. The billionaire had made millions selling luxury, yet here, in this diner, surrounded by the pulse of the community, he was speechless. But just when breaths got held tight, a realization swept through the room like a gust of wind. Malik stood at a fork, poised between dreams and duties, wondering if he could bridge the growing divide. Would Mr. Lee, who had moved through life with privilege, find a way to understand? Or would wealth and background keep them worlds apart? The diner held its breath, sensing the weight of the question. What would happen next? Mr. Lee seemed to stand at a crossroads of his own, the weight of Malik's words resonating deeper than he anticipated. The tension wrapped around the diner, thick and electric. Every eye was fixed on them, waiting for the billionaire to respond. "Tell me more," Mr. Lee finally said, his voice softer now, almost hesitant. The challenge in his tone had faded, replaced by an earnest curiosity. It was a flicker of understanding in his steely gaze. Malik took a breath, feeling the stir of hope as people leaned in closer. "I grew up in a tough neighborhood. I've seen what happens when people give up. My mom worked 2 jobs, never let us feel the struggle. I want to give my siblings a better life, like she did for us. I can't risk losing that, not now. Murmurs of agreement pulsed through the diner. Faces lit with shared experiences. Mr. Lee's frown deepened, as if he was trying to grasp a world painted in hues too foreign for his eyes. He leaned forward. And what would you do if there were no limits? Malik blinked, caught off guard by the question. I'd open a restaurant. One that brings people together. Food is its magic to me. The words flowed more freely now, infused with passion. I'd combine cultures, flavors. Cook dishes that tell stories. Mr. Lee sat back, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. In business, we look for opportunities to connect with people. You're saying this? It's a way to connect to your people? Malik nodded slowly, words rushing through his mind. It's beyond just food. It's community. It's love. He could feel the steel walls of his dreams softening. But doubt crept in. Could this man truly understand? He glanced at his colleagues, then back at Mr. Lee. It's about lifting each other up. As conversation simmered around them, Mr. Lee's brows furrowed like storm clouds. And what if I could help? The air in the diner hung heavy with potential. Malik felt a rush of disbelief, like the ground beneath him had shifted. Help? Why would you want to do that? Because the billionaire leaned in closer, his eyes fierce. I've built my life around opportunities, but I've overlooked the importance of giving back. You reminded me. I want to understand your world. Malik's heart hammered in his chest. This was a turning point. The room felt smaller, the diner like a cauldron of possibilities. If Mr. Lee was willing to bridge the gap, it could mean everything. But fear clawed at the edges of his optimism. What if it was just a fleeting moment? Do you mean it? Malik whispered, trying to grasp the magnitude of the offer. Mr. Lee met Malik's look with intensity. Let us build a plan. Together. What do you need? Silence fell across the diner. Every patron held their breath, daring to hope right alongside Malik. As thoughts raced through Malik's mind, weighing the countless possibilities, he felt both excitement and sheer terror knotting in his stomach. This was more than a chance at success. It was about vulnerability, trust, and an uncertain future that came with great risks. Let us talk, he finally said, quiet but firm. The first step is just starting a real conversation. Just then, the front door swung open with a bang, and a chilling gust of wind swept inside, drawing everyone's attention away. An unexpected figure entered, a woman in a sleek trench coat, her hair pulled back tightly, and urgency radiating from her as she scanned the diner. Malik exchanged a glance with Mr. Lee, tension shifting once more. Who was she? What news did she carry? Malik felt unease curling in his gut, as if the ground was shifting again. There was something hauntingly important about this moment. What had just entered their world? The woman's gaze landed firmly on Mr. Lee, and her eyes blazed with a desperate intensity. She stepped forward, the heels of her shoes clicking sharply against the linoleum, slicing through the air thick with anticipation. Mr. Lee, she called out, her voice carrying a weight that made every head turn. Tension hung in the air like a storm cloud, ready to unleash its contents. We need to talk. It's urgent. Malik's heart raced, caught in a volatile mix of anxiety and curiosity. The atmosphere shifted. That fleeting feeling of hope slipped away, swallowed by uncertainty. The diner had been a sanctuary of dreams just moments before, and now it felt as though a shadow had cast itself over them all. Who are you? Mr. Lee asked, his voice steady but laced with concern. He straightened, revealing the businessman behind the warmth. What is so urgent that it brings you here? She hesitated, glancing around at the crowd that had gathered. Malik felt the heat of her embarrassment, the vulnerability that came with being the bearer of unsettling news. In that moment, he sensed that this was more than just a business matter. I'm Rachel, she said, swallowing hard. I've been watching your dealings, and I don't think you're aware of the impact they're having." "What do you mean?" Mr. Lee's steely demeanor softened, but Malik was captivated. Rachel wasn't just speaking to Mr. Lee. She was addressing everyone in the room, their hopes, their stories, their desperation. "I work with community organizations, the ones you've overlooked. Your businesses are harming the places and people they're built upon. People like Malik. You have no idea of the challenges they face." Malik could feel the weight of her words pressing down. It was a call to arms woven into their tapestry of dreams. Struggling families, broken neighborhoods, it was all too real, too raw. Mr. Lee's expression fluctuated, a flicker of anger breaking through the wall of composure. "Are you accusing me of something?" he said, irritation lining his voice. "No, not at all," Rachel shot back, her tone now tinged with desperation. "But there are always consequences. You have a chance to change that. If you truly want to help." Malik's mind swirled with uncertainty. This meeting felt monumental, every heartbeat echoing through the diner, as every patron hung on her words. It was as if something larger was unfolding, something beyond even Malik's lofty dreams. He wanted to shout, to urge Mr. Lee to listen, to understand the weight of Rachel's warnings and promises. "Why now?" Mr. Lee's voice was quieter, almost vulnerable. "Why is this surfacing at this moment?" "Because," Rachel paused, emotion cracking her voice, "I believe in the power of hope. You just need to give it a chance, expand your vision. Don't do what others expect. Do what you know is right." An electric hum filled the diner. It felt like a pact being formed under a veil of uncertainty. Lives teetered on the brink, Malik's, the community's, and Mr. Lee's very essence as a businessman and philanthropist. As the silence swelled in the room, Malik's pulse quickened. He realized this was no mere coincidence. It was a crossroads, a reckoning of sorts. "Rachel, what do you suggest?" Mr. Lee asked, finally allowing a hint of curiosity to rekindle in his expression. Malik could feel the shift, an opportunity sparking to life. Could this be the beginning of something profound? The hope in the diner breathed just slightly easier, but the risk lingered. For every step forward, there was the potential for colossal failure. As Rachel leaned closer, the weight of their futures hung in the air. Would Mr. Lee step up to the challenge? And could Malik's dreams withstand the storm? The answer lay just beyond the whispering boundaries of possibility. What came next could change everything. Malik held his breath, watching Mr. Lee carefully. The once confident businessman seemed to wrestle with something deep inside, doubt, perhaps, or the heavy weight of responsibility. Rachel leaned in, sensing the moment was ripe for change. "Mr. Lee, it's more than just about business," she said, her voice firm yet filled with warmth. "It's about lives, real people, families. You have the power to make a difference." The diner fell silent, every eye trained on Mr. Lee. Malik could feel the collective energy buzzing in the air, an unspoken challenge laid bare before them all. Would he shrug off Rachel's words? Would he protect his empire at the cost of the community? "I was raised in a neighborhood not too different from those you've overlooked," Mr. Lee finally replied, his expression softening as he seemed to gaze into a distant past. "I know hardship. I know what it feels like to struggle." His brow furrowed, a look of determination creeping in. "But why should I risk the success I've built?" "Because true success isn't measured by wealth alone," Rachel shot back, passion igniting her features. "Real success is also about lifting others as you climb. It's legacy, something that lasts beyond you." Malik felt something profound awaken in him. Hope surged like wildfire. Mr. Lee remained silent. The city outside hummed with life, oblivious to the fires burning in that small diner. The tables bore witness as a new chapter approached, one that could shift the trajectory of countless lives. "Mr. Lee," Malik found his voice, stepping forward, "you can create jobs, bring resources. You can turn this around. Help us." His heart pounded as he spoke, every word charged with the weight of his dreams and countless untold struggles. Think of what you could inspire. There was a flicker in Mr. Lee's eyes, a shimmer of realization. And what would that look like? He asked, almost leaning forward, captive to the ideas swirling around. Rachel looked at Malik, and for a moment they were in sync. It means rebuilding the community, she offered. Investments that create hope, not just profits. Community centers, scholarships, sustainable businesses that empower. Mr. Lee's lips turned up slightly, reflecting an idea gathering momentum. Are you suggesting a partnership? He asked, almost hesitating. His voice was still reserved, but uncertainty was ebbing away. Yes, Malik breathed, a rush of excitement flowing through him. Together, we can change the narrative. We can show people it's possible. There was no need to convince Rachel. She knew this was their chance. The diner had become a crossroads, a spark of possibility. But would Mr. Lee take that leap? He exhaled deeply, his shoulders relaxing a fraction. Okay. Let us say I'm willing to discuss this further. What is the first step? Malik blinked, stunned. This was happening. The warmth of hope filled the diner like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Yet, he could also see the skepticism in some people's eyes, the doubt that such a transformation could materialize. Rachel smiled brightly, a light cutting through the tension. Let us start with a community meeting, she suggested. We bring people together to hear their voices. And we listen. The murmurs of the onlookers began to swell. Are you serious? Someone whispered, astonished. Yes, Mr. Lee said, a ground-shifting resolve anchoring his words. I will commit to this. But it has to be real. No empty promises. As the weight of his statement settled, Malik felt a wave of clarity. This was the beginning. They were all part of something bigger than themselves. But deep within Malik's core, a voice echoed, the uncertainty still there. Monroe, the antagonist of Mr. Lee's company, would he take kindly to any disruption? He'd fight back, and Malik could sense that looming threat. Rachel. Malik whispered, his brow furrowing with concern. What if things get messy? A shadow crossed her face. Then we prepare for a fight. The room crackled with anticipation, but Malik's heart raced for another reason. He sensed the trials ahead. They could face obstacles they had yet to imagine. Yet as Mr. Lee nodded slowly, a flicker of determination ignited the air. Would they all be ready for the battles to come? Would the community back them? An unknown journey awaited, one that promised transformation but also the specter of challenge. Would hope prevail in the face of adversity? The real test had only just begun. Malik felt the ripple of tension in the air, as the reality of what lay ahead settled over them. The diner buzzed softly with murmured conversations, a blend of disbelief and cautious optimism. He exchanged glances with Rachel, whose expression mirrored his own determination mixed with a hint of anxiety. Let us not waste any time, Mr. Lee continued, brushing a hand across the table like he was clearing away doubts. When is the community meeting? Rachel quickly pulled out her phone. We can do it this Saturday. It's enough time to spread the word. Good, Mr. Lee nodded, his voice growing steadier. And I'll help with logistics. If we want this to be meaningful, we need a place where everyone feels welcomed. Malik could hardly believe that the man who once felt so distant and untouchable was now stepping out of his bubble for this cause. It was a monumental shift. Yet the angular shadows of concern still shadowed Malik's mind. What if Moreau tries to sabotage this? Malik asked, gripping the edge of the table, the anger rising inside him like a tide. Won't he just sit back and let us, change things? He'll fight back, Rachel affirmed, her brows knit together, but we can use that momentum. If we present a united front, we can rally the community behind us. Mr. Lee leaned back slightly, considering their words. Then we must be prepared. We need stories. We need heroes. Those who will inspire the crowd. Malik's pulse quickened as he thought about the people they could invite. His neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, battling a losing hand against rising bills. Tyrone, whose dreams had been put on hold due to lack of funding. The cafeteria workers, who made do with scraps while serving the kids at the local school. They all had something to say, a piece of the puzzle that could light a fire in the hearts of many. "What you're proposing," Mr. Lee began again, leaning in closer, "it's bold. But it can only work if we're authentic. If we're sincere." "That's all we are," Malik answered, his voice steady. "Just people looking for a way to be seen, heard, and valued. We can't lose sight of that." Mr. Lee's eyes flickered with an uncharacteristic spark. It was the same energy Malik felt surge within himself. "Then let us make it happen." As they all leaned over the table to discuss strategies, a warmth surrounded Malik. For the first time, the doubts receded. They were creating a movement, a pulse in their community that no one could ignore. But somewhere in the corner of his mind, a voice whispered again what would happen when Monroe pushed back. Saturday arrived, the diner's usual hum replaced by a deeper sense of purpose. The walls felt as if they held their breath. Malik could see the faces gather outside, a melting pot of anxious smiles and physical representation of struggles. As people trickled in, he made a point to welcome everyone. Each handshake, each word was a promise of unity. Not everyone arrived cheerful. There was fear hidden behind some eyes, but also a sliver of hope. Malik repeated his mantra to himself. They were stronger together. As the meeting began, Mr. Lee took the stage, his presence commanding yet humble, ready to share his own story, bridging the gaps between power and community. But just as he began to speak, a commotion stirred at the entrance. The door burst open, and a figure stepped in, a familiar shape that sent shockwaves through Malik's heart. Monroe. The room fell silent, every person frozen in place. Malik swallowed hard, his biggest fears rushing to the forefront. He had been right to worry. This wasn't just a meeting. It was a battle line drawn in a snowstorm. "Ladies and gentlemen," Monroe boomed, a sinister smile curling his lips, "I believe we need to start questioning the true motives behind this gathering." Every face turned toward him, a mixture of surprise and apprehension painting the scene. Malik's heart raced. Would Monroe use this moment to undermine everything they'd worked for? Would hope shatter, or could it stand firm against the looming threat? What would they do next? That lingering question hung heavy over the entire room. Malik felt the eyes of the room shift from Mr. Lee to Monroe, heavy with expectation. The atmosphere charged with uncertainty. He noticed the slight tremble in Rachel's hand as she clutched the edge of the table. Monroe's presence was magnetic, but not in a way that offered warmth. Rather, it emanated cold authority. He scanned the group, his gaze like a spotlight that illuminated the darkest fears of people who had gathered, each harboring their own struggles. Malik knew that now, more than ever, they needed to be united. "Before we begin," Monroe continued, his voice dripping with sarcasm, "I want to remind everyone in this fine establishment that change doesn't come from gatherings like this. It comes from knowing who to deal with, and how." He smirked, gesturing dismissively at Mr. Lee. What could he possibly offer that's worth your time? A murmur of discontent rippled through the crowd. Malik could see anger igniting in the faces around him, especially in Rachel's. She was the first to break the silence, her voice unwavering. "And what have you done, Monroe? Besides profit off our struggles?" "Ah, passionate young lady. You see, I'm not the enemy here," Monroe replied, his tone oozing with mockery. "You think sharing your stories will change the world? That's cute." Malik stepped forward, the pounding of his heart rising above the noise. "No, it's not cute. It's real. People are tired. Tired of being ignored. Tired of your shiny contracts that promise progress but deliver nothing. He locked eyes with Monroe, not backing down. You can't diminish our voices. The combination of Malik's words and Rachel's brave stance jolted the crowd from their hesitation. They began to murmur, whispers growing into spoken agreements. They were more than audience members now. They were participants in a conversation that had been silenced for too long. Let us not turn this into a circus, Monroe retorted, but there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Then act like you care, Rachel shot back, her voice steady and bold. If you truly want to help our community, why not join us instead of tearing us down? Our stories matter. Our lives matter. Malik felt the energy shift. The audience stirred, emotions weaving together like a tapestry. Hesitant heads began to nod, voices began to rise, and he could almost feel the swell of courage igniting inside him and those around him. It was his chance. Malik took a deep breath, channeling the strength he found in those stories he had witnessed in his neighborhood, the struggles endured in silence. This isn't just about Monroe. This is about us. We can either let him dictate our future, or we can make our own choices. The fire in the room shifted from fear to anger, then to hope. He could see faces brighten as others joined in. People began sharing snippets of their experiences, each voice becoming a thread in the burgeoning fabric of community strength. Suddenly, Mr. Lee, still standing strong at the front, raised his hand, calling for silence. I appreciate the passion, he said, his voice steady and firm. But let us not lose sight of our purpose. And in that moment, as Monroe readied himself for another interjection, Malik realized what they needed was not just to respond but to rise above the chaos. They needed to take their stories and use them as a shield against the negativity that Monroe embodied. Together, Malik said, channeling every ounce of emotion, let us show everyone what we can accomplish when we lift each other up. The room erupted in applause, the collective energy coalescing into something tangible. Yet Malik's heart raced with a mix of hope and deep-seated fear. Monroe wouldn't back down easily. This was just the beginning of a fight, one that would test not just their unity, but their very resolve. As cheers echoed and the wave of support surged, Malik felt the ground beneath him shift, welcoming the unexpected strength of a community awakening. But as he glanced at Monroe, whose expression darkened, Malik understood that battle lines had been clearly drawn. What will he do next? Malik wondered. The weight of uncertainty pressing down as the room buzzed with possibility. In that instant, he knew they were standing on the edge of a monumental clash, where every voice could either lift them higher or plunge them into the shadows. They were ready to find out which path they would take. Malik could feel the air thicken with anticipation. It wasn't just about words anymore. It was a movement. As the applause faded, he took a quick glance around the room, absorbing the fierce determination radiating from his peers. This was their moment. Malik had always believed that change emerged when voices that had once been silenced began to rise together. But uncertainty lingered in the corners of his mind. What would Monroe do? Would he unleash a torrent of insults or retreat into calculated silence? The tension was palpable. Enough of this, Monroe finally said, pushing himself off the edge of the table as he straightened his suit. He looked around at the crowd, his expression dark and calculating. You really think your voices will matter? This change you all speak of, it's nothing more than a fantasy. The world runs on dollars and cents, and you're just distraction. Malik sensed the collective heartbeat of the room falter. Anxiety rippled through the crowd. He could see Rachel's resolve flicker for a moment. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward again, chasing after that flicker, desperate to ignite it into a flame. Monroe doesn't know us, he shouted, his voice echoing off the walls. He doesn't know the promise that lives in our stories, in our struggles. We are more than dollars and cents. We are a community. With every word, the heat in the room returned, growing stronger as others began to join in, chanting louder than before. "We are a community," they repeated, a chant that intertwined their fears and dreams, a plea steeped in the urgency of their shared lives. Mr. Lee saw the shift, a spark of hope in his eyes. "Let us hear more," he encouraged, his demeanor evolving from observant bystander to potential ally. "What do you want from us, and how can we support you? Change doesn't come with handouts," a voice shouted from the back. "We want respect. We want partnership." Rachel, fueled by the energy around her, pushed through the group, raising her voice. "We want to be seen, not just as numbers in your ledgers, but as human beings with dreams, stories, and lives that matter." Each declaration brought another wave of support, bolstering spirits like the swell of the tide. Faces lit up with newfound conviction as they began sharing. Various stories bubbled up, filled with struggles and victories, each one a thread in the fabric of their collective identity. Malik looked around, his heart swelling in his chest, pride washing over him. The fears that had once silenced them lay before them like crumpled up paper, discarded and forgotten. "It's about building something together," Malik added, improvising as the courage surged in him. "We need a real community platform, a place to share ideas, where our voices are woven into the fabric of decision-making. We should not just be consulted, we must be included." The audience erupted in applause once more, their hands meeting in joy. The energies blended, as if they were noting down the possibility of true collaboration. But it wasn't over. The dark shadow of Monroe loomed large. You could see the gears turning in his head. "Is this childish rebellion really the hill you want to die on?" he finally interjected, his voice dripping with mock frustration. Malik felt a chill. Monroe's tone had shifted from dismissive to dangerously serious. It wasn't just a battle for ideas anymore. It was about the real danger of systemic oppression. "Childish?" Malik echoed, his voice rising. "No. This is us finally taking control. We won't let you play puppet master any longer." But just as hope surged, they could see Monroe step back, calculating. His eyes narrowed, and a dangerous smile crept onto his lips, one that foreshadowed an unsettling response. Malik's stomach dropped as realization dawned. It wasn't just about voices. It was about survival, his and everyone around him. "Will you fight with me?" Malik shouted to the crowd, nerves rattling in his chest. As a chorus of voices shouted back, "Yes." Malik felt a spark of life pulse through the room, but he couldn't shake the feeling that they had awoken a storm. And just then, Monroe's voice cut through the noise. "Fine. But just know, every action has its consequences." What would those consequences look like? Malik's heart raced. As he turned back to the crowd, an electric mix of fear and determination surged through him. They were ready to march forward, but what cost would they pay? The road ahead would either strengthen their unity or tear them apart. Would they be able to stand together when the storm truly came? Malik took a deep breath, readying himself for whatever came next. The crowd buzzed with a frantic energy, their voices merging into an anthem of defiance. Malik felt the warmth of solidarity wrapping around him like a comforting blanket, yet the shadow of uncertainty hung in the air. Monroe's words had pierced through their unity, planting seeds of doubt that sprouted like weeds in Malik's mind. The consequences were real, and they were closer than anyone wanted to admit. "Stay strong," he whispered to himself, mentally echoing the words in his heart. He scanned the faces around him, Rachel, Mr. Lee, and even those who had remained silent until now. Each of them was a piece of a puzzle that had come together in this moment of collective courage. Then something shifted. A ripple, a murmur, surged through the throng. Someone stepped forward, an older man, poised and dignified. Malik recognized him as Mr. Thompson, a respected figure in the community. The man cleared his throat, silencing the crowd with his presence. "Childish?" Perhaps, he said, glancing at Monroe, his voice steady. But it's not the rebellion that frightens you, is it? It's the unity we've discovered. We're not asking for permission anymore. We're demanding respect. The crowd erupted in cheers. Malik's heart pounded. This was it. This was the moment they had waited for a real confrontation. But as Monroe's face twisted into a grimace, Malik could tell the battle was far from over. You think you have power because you've found your voices? Monroe sneered, stepping toward Mr. Thompson. Your passion doesn't scare me. I control the narrative here. The tension tightened like a rubber band stretched to its limit. Malik could feel the collective breaths of the crowd held in anticipation. What would be their next move? Would Monroe retaliate, or was he cornered in a way he had never expected? Control is an illusion, Rachel suddenly shouted, standing beside Mr. Thompson, her voice bursting with conviction. You think you can silence us by tossing around money like it's a shield? Well, guess what? We have each other now, and that is far stronger than anything you can offer us. As the words hung in the air, a challenge hung before them. Could they weather Monroe's wrath? Would they be able to stand together against the oncoming storm? Malik exchanged glances with Rachel, a quiet understanding passing between them. They were all in this together. Monroe's brow furrowed, irritation rising like steam from a boiling pot. You talk a good game, but let us not forget who has the power when the lights go out, he replied coldly. His words were a double-edged sword that threatened to cut deep. It was then that Mr. Lee stepped up alongside Malik. We don't need the lights, Monroe. We are the lights, he declared, his voice cutting through the unease. And our flame will not be extinguished by your greed and arrogance. Applause erupted again, a wave of hope rushing through the crowd. But Malik discerned the subtle change in Monroe. There was a dangerously calm demeanor about him now, as if he were planning his next move with methodical precision. I assure you, you will regret this uprising, Monroe said softly, like a storm cloud settling ominously over the horizon. This is just the beginning. The consequences may be more severe than you anticipate. Malik felt a chill race down his spine, but he clung to the spark of hope ignited in the hearts around him. They couldn't back down now. He led the crowd in a resolute chant, We are a community. We are a community. Suddenly, a loud crash came from the hallway, a sound that reverberated with chaos. Malik's heart dropped as the door to the conference room burst open, and a group of men in dark suits stormed in, their eyes scanning the room with cold intensity. What now? Malik thought, his resolve wavering for just a second. But he quickly remembered the strength he felt standing together. The moment felt surreal, like they were on the brink of something monumental, something that could either uplift or destroy. As the tension reached a breaking point, Malik realized they were no longer just fighting for voices. They were fighting for their survival, their dignity, and their right to stand as equals. Would they be able to channel this moment into a force that could withstand the impending storm? As the unfamiliar figures loomed over them, that question echoed loudly in his mind, their answer hanging precariously in the balance. The men in suits advanced slowly, their presence heavy like dark clouds on a sunny day. Malik's heart raced. The crowd shrank back instinctively, but a few of them stood tall, hands clenched, ready to defend their newfound courage. Who are you? A voice rang out from the throng, strong and unwavering. It was Mr. Thompson again, refusing to let fear dictate their response. He didn't waver as he stepped forward to face them. The tension was thick as the men paused, sizing him up as if he were an obstacle in their way. We're here to handle a situation, one of the suited men replied, his tone flat as concrete. His expression held no empathy, just cold intent. Malik felt rage bubbling within him, like a boiling pot just waiting to overflow. He glanced at Rachel, who was pale but fierce in her determination. They had come this far. They couldn't let fear keep them from continuing. "What do you mean by handle a situation?" Rachel challenged, stepping up beside Mr. Thompson. The fire in her eyes sparked something within Malik. If they stood together, they could face anything. "We're here to remind you of your place," another man said, each word dripping with contempt. He smirked, eyes scanning the crowd, challenge lingering in his gaze. "You think you have power? It's cute, really." That cute ignited the fury that had been festering. Malik had had enough. "You don't understand what is happening here. We're not afraid anymore." His voice rang out, cutting through the tension, surprising even himself. "Dare to silence us? You're making a grave mistake," Mr. Lee added, his voice low but resolute. The murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, swelling like a wave. "Enough of this," the lead suit said, raising a hand to silence them. "You think your voices carry weight? The higher-ups don't care about you, your struggles, or your little uprising. This conversation is over." Malik could feel the unity around him deepen, an invisible thread binding them tighter. "Look," he shouted, pushing through the fear that clawed at him. "You may have power now, but every empire crumbles when the people rise." "We're not back down." Before he could finish, the first of the suited men lunged forward, pushing Mr. Thompson back with surprising force. A gasp rang out from the crowd. Time stretched, every heartbeat echoing their fear. Malik's instinct kicked in. He rushed forward, placing himself firmly at Mr. Thompson's side. "You want to intimidate us?" The men seemed taken aback by the unexpected wave of defiance. But Malone smirked, his eyes glittering with a mix of disdain and amusement. "How noble," he sneered. "But you're just digging your own graves. Remember, there are consequences. Maybe we'd rather risk everything than live in fear." Rachel shot back, her voice steady. The tension felt electric, sparking with every word exchanged. The suited men measured the weight of their defiance, the crowd watching with bated breath. Malik's heart raced, knowing this was a crucial moment, their moment. Suddenly, the lead man turned sharply, glaring at his colleagues. "We can't waste time here. Get what we need and let us go." Malik's stomach dropped as the threat loomed closer. What could they want? Dark suits began scanning the crowd, eyes landing on familiar faces. Malik felt a stab of anxiety, the energy switching from defiance to fear. "Wait!" he shouted, darting forward again. "What do you really want? You can't just waltz in here and make demands." And then, there was a flicker of uncertainty in their gazes. Malik poured every ounce of hope he had into that moment. Could they really change the tide? As he stood there, emotions tangled, heart pounding, he felt something shift not just in himself but in the crowd around him. Would they feed off this moment, or would it fall to silence? The crack of tension hung in the air as he glimpsed a woman in the back, holding her breath, hands trembling. She was scared, but her eyes reflected strength. Could he reach her? Could they reach others? Malik steadied his resolve. The fight wasn't over, it was just beginning. The suited men exchanged quick glances. "You don't know what you're up against," one of them warned, his voice lowering ominously. "We will do what is necessary, and when we return, you'll understand the consequences." With that, they retreated, leaving the tension lingering like a thick fog. Did we win? Or just postpone the inevitable? Malik whispered to the crowd. Whispers of uncertainty swirled around, and the inescapable question settled heavily on their shoulders. What would happen next? Malik's heart pounded like a war drum as the suited men withdrew, leaving behind a room teetering on the brink between fear and hope. The buzz hung thick in the air, a melting pot of disbelief, anxiety, and stubborn resolve marinated with anticipation for what was yet to come. The crowd, although shaken, had woven itself into a tighter unit, their collective breaths resonating like a heartbeat in unison. Did they really think they could scare us? Rachel said, her voice low but fierce, rallying around Malik's conviction. He caught the flicker of determination in her eyes, and a living flame ignited in him. They had stood together against intimidation, and together they could forge ahead. Mr. Thompson stepped back into the center, the wisdom of generations glinting in his eyes. Everyone, we cannot let this moment define us. This isn't just a resistance. It's a testament to our strength. He turned to Malik, eyes glinting with purpose. We need to mobilize. We have stories to tell. We need to be heard. Malik nodded, encouraged by the energy buzzing through the diner. They had to capitalize on this unrest, use it as fuel to spread their message deeper into the community. He turned to Mr. Lee, who had been unnervingly silent since the confrontation began. What do you think? We need allies in this fight. Mr. Lee straightened, shaking off the residue of uncertainty. I agree. We should leverage our networks. I have connections who care about community impact. This is a pivotal moment, and I want to be part of it. The gravity of his words settled over the crowd, a wave of inspiration washing through them. We need to document everything, Rachel proposed, eyes sparkling with fierce passion. Share our stories, post them online, flood the media. We can reach those who can help us. We must show them the truth of their inaction. Yes, Malik echoed, heart swelling with fervor. Every story matters. We need to shed light on the people Monroe aims to silence. Let us invite everyone, bring in families, individuals who have felt the weight of these decisions. As the ideas began to flow, the room ignited with talk of community meetings, storytelling circles, and social media campaigns. Each person contributed, weaving their threads into a tapestry of resilience. Laughter mingled with shouts of encouragement. They could actually do this. They could unite their voices into a chorus that would echo far beyond these diner walls. But amidst the excitement, Malik felt a knot tighten in his stomach, reminders of Monroe's chilling words surfacing like ghosts. What if they retaliate? He asked, the concern protruding from his heart as fear kissed his resolve. What if they come back more aggressively? We prepare, Rachel said, her eyes alight with fierce determination. We tell our stories, lift the veil on their actions, document how their choices affect us. If they come for us, let us stand together, no fear. A sense of clarity settled over Malik. Protective walls might rise against them, but if they fought as a unified force, nothing could extinguish their drive. We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every dream that has been silenced, every family that has struggled. This is our moment. As the crowd buzzed with renewed vigor, he felt the weight of responsibility wrap around him like an armor. Let us schedule the community meeting for next week, he said, watching their faces shine with purpose. Together, we'll organize, gather every helping hand, every hopeful voice. We'll channel all this energy into something unstoppable. The clattering of excitement enveloped the diner, laughter mingling with shouts of agreement, and plans shuffling together. In that moment, Malik felt a surge of empowerment. But then, as the crowd began to disperse, a profound silence wrapped around him. What about the retaliation? He murmured to Rachel, who stood beside him, the vigor fading slightly from her gaze. She bit her lip, uncharacteristically quiet for a moment. We faced them together, she replied finally, her voice soft yet strong. And if it gets messy? We adapt. We'll learn to quickly shield ourselves and each other. We can't let fear hold us back. Her words unraveled the last knots of uncertainty in his heart. The vision hazed before him clear and vibrant. Yes, we support one another. We're family now. No one will break the bonds we're building. As she smiled at him, Malik realized how far they had come. As the last of the crowd trickled out of the diner, lingering in the bittersweet twilight, Malik lifted his head high, embracing the resilience that thrummed in his chest. This is just the beginning, he whispered under his breath, confidence and hope lacing his words like the first chords of a triumphant anthem. Together they would stand against the storm. Together they would channel the fear into action. No matter the darkness ahead, they had ignited a spark that would burn fiercely against the tide. This was their moment, their fight. And they would not stand down. Now, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss any more exclusive stories that ignite hope and change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Let me know in the comments how this ending resonates with you. I want to hear your thoughts and feelings. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.